What's for dinner, you asked? Shredded beef quesadillas. Now this is a crock pot recipe, my favorite. We're gonna get started with a diced onion in the crock pot and some minced garlic. I'm seasoning with paprika, ground cumin, ground coriander, dried oregano, chipotle seasoning, a little bit of allspice, salt, pepper, and that's the gist of it. Just gonna kind of mix that together, and then we're gonna put our beef on top of the onions. I'm using a London broil. You can use whatever you want. And this is about 1.5 pounds, I believe. I'm gonna repeat the seasonings on top of the meat and just kind of massage it in really well. Now, I actually saw a recipe on Facebook. I don't think it was a recipe. It was more like a restaurant just kind of sharing one of their, menu items, and it looked amazing. So I'm doing my best to kind of recreate it. It looked so good. So this is my version of what I saw. I'm going to now add some orange juice, low sodium beef broth, a whole can of Rotel tomatoes and chilies, and then we're going to squeeze in some fresh lime juice. Now, I would recommend do not throw the whole lime in there. It does kind of give off a little bit of a bitter taste. Not overpowering. It wasn't bad, but I can pretty much guarantee it was probably because I threw the whole lime in there, so don't do that. But you're going to cook this on high for 6 to 8 hours depending on how big your chunk of beef is. And when it's done, you're going to take it out and we're going to shred it in a bowl. You're going to keep the sauce, don't dump it out. I just kind of gradually added it to the meat. You don't want it to be dry, but you don't want it to be over saucy. So just kind of add it in at your own discretion. And then I'm going to add a little extra stuff here. I got some Worcestershire sauce and a little more salt and pepper just to kind of really make sure it's seasoned well. And then the meat mixture is done. So I am using a griddle pan, but you can do a skillet on the stove if you prefer. This makes it a little easier. So I've buttered the pan here. I reserved some of the sauce from the crock pot and I dipped my tortilla in it, and I'm gonna let that lay flat on the griddle. I'm layering my first layer of cheese. I have Monterey Jack cheese. And I'm gonna spoon the shredded meat on top of the cheese, and then we're gonna add more cheese. And I'm gonna do a different one. We're doing shredded sharp white cheddar. And then we're gonna close it up and cook it like a quesadilla. You definitely want to make sure you get a good crust on this quesadilla. You want it to withhold all of the stuff you have inside of it. So be patient, get a good crust on it, let it cool for a little bit before you cut it, and this is amazing. I reserved some of the sauce from the crock pot. I took out the onions and the tomatoes and chilies, and I'm using that to dip my quesadilla in. So flavorful, guys. Make sure you check out our website for the recipe. Bye.